Hi, welcome to my advanced 3D scene tutorial. This was highly requested, so here's my first ever voiceover tutorial. So first we're going to add a new shape layer, and I'm going to add an ellipse path with a fill and a stroke. And next I'm going to make the size a little bit bigger, increase the stroke, and I'm going to change the fill color. Now what I'm going to do is move the layer behind. We're going to make it 3D and change the X rotation to 90. Next, I'm going to move it down a bit so it's like the character is standing on the circle. Then I'm going to make the character 3D as well and reposition so that nothing's going to be cut off. Next, with a null object, we're going to connect our two layers to it. We're going to add some position keyframes and separate the dimensions. Move them to the side. Next, I'm going to add some rotation keyframes. And again, I'm going to ease ease them and adjust. Now that I'm happy with how my keyframes look, I'm going to add this lace circle. I'll have a link to it in the description. I'm going to add a tint effect and swap the colors. And rotate it 90, make it 3D, X rotation just like we did with the circle. And connect it to the null object. Now we're going to add a new text. Since this is not a text tutorial, I'm just going to use it as a sample. It's not supposed to look good, it's just supposed to be a placeholder. Now I'm going to make the text 3D and move it to the side. We're going to make it move the opposite way that we made our character move. So I'm just going to add some position keyframes. This part is kind of hard to explain, you just have to watch and follow along, and I hope it'll make sense. Next, we're going to make a new solid. Doesn't matter what color you pick, because next we're going to add a gradient ramp effect. Choose whatever colors you want. Now, once we've decided for the color of our shape, we're going to make it 3D and do 90 degrees X rotation again. Move it to the bottom, below the circles. Create a new null object and connect the text and the shape layer we just created to it. Here comes the part which is really hard to explain. I'm just going to play the music and pause the video if you need to see what I'm doing. Alright, now that we're done adjusting, I'm going to increase the size of the bottom shape layer. I'm also going to increase the size of the stroke. Next, I'm going to make a new shape layer. We're going to try to draw something like an arch shape using the pen tool. Eventually, you'll make it into a doorway shape. It may take a few tries. I'm going to make it 3D and connect it to the null object. I'm also going to adjust its position. One of the things that actually takes the most time with 3D is adjusting things. The little details can make all the difference. I know I'm going to sound corny here, but it makes or breaks your edit. You want it so that it'll be revealed when you zoom out. So I'm moving the position back. We're going to make a new rectangle and add stroke. I'm going to increase the width and the height too, and connect it to the null object. Now we're going to use the X rotation and rotate it 90 degrees. We're going to move it down to the floor. And move it back so that it lines up with the arch we just drew. You should get a cool effect like this. When you're happy with how the position is, you may notice that there are some places that need to be adjusted. Unfortunately, this always happens with 3D, and the only thing that you can do is just keep experimenting and moving around your shape until it looks how you want. It's still not perfect, but it'll do for now. You may need to readjust its position again. Now that we're happy with how it looks, we're going to duplicate the arch layer and move it back. Now we should have 2 arches. Now I'm going to add my second picture. I'm going to move the position back a bit and connect it to the null object. Adjust its position until you're happy with how it looks. Now we're going to add another rectangle path. Now we're going to add another rectangular shape. But this time, instead of rotating the X rotation, we're going to connect it to the null object, make it 3D, and move it back. This will make a wall on one side of the arch. You don't have to do this, I just personally wanted to. I'm also going to decrease the opacity. I think that this could be improved if you added a grid or maybe some shape layer effects on it. Ignore this, I'm just going to rename all the layers since it's probably getting a little confusing. I'm sorry for not doing that from the beginning. We're going to duplicate the first floor and move it to a new position. Some adjustments may need to be made until you're happy with how your 3D scene looks. To make this movement more interesting, I'm going to add some Z rotation. I'm also going to change the Y position. Do your best and follow along. Now we're going to select all of our layers and add motion blur. We're going to select all our layers again and pre-compose them. Make sure you turn the motion blur button on, and now we're ready to render. Add to render queue. Ignore the other 2 renders I did, they're not important. Leave all the settings as is, and now we're done!